This summer, I posted a buyer's guide that you can see here in this thumbnail for Buyer's Guide 2024, which is where in that video, I recommended what order to get Marvel Champions in and gave a few different tracks. But I didn't really ever talk about what I would do. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what I personally would do. And also, this is going to inform what I do on the channel going forward as well, because I want to follow my own advice. And if you could take a second to like and subscribe, I would appreciate that a lot. The first purchase, obviously, would be the core box set, because you have to have the core box in order to play Marvel Champions. And the core box is actually really good. If you have the option to, I would recommend trying to pick up Doctor Strange or Captain America if you can get them for not $30 or however much they are at those different sites. But the problem is that they are sold out in a lot of places, so you may not be able to do that. I recommended getting one of these to go along with the core box when you first start, but you may not be able to do that. And I would still also try to pick up Doctor Strange or Captain America. Then after that, I would take it very slow, because these 5 heroes that come in the core box are incredibly good. And when I came back to them recently on stream, I have totally different opinions than I did when I first started playing. There's a lot of depth to these heroes that I wasn't able to really understand when I started playing the game, and I moved on before I actually figured it out. And I think it would have been very valuable for myself if I didn't move on so quickly to new stuff, because when I come back to these heroes, all of a sudden I can play all of them a lot better and they feel a lot stronger and more fun than they used to. Captain Marvel is fantastic in multiplayer. She has great strategies with her energy channel. Super fun champion. Black Panther, I really enjoy the Wakanda Forevers and getting his suit out. It felt kind of like a burden to get his upgrades out when I first started playing, but now it doesn't feel like a burden for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why, but he's actually completely functional before getting all of your upgrades out because of his base stats and his retaliate. Iron Man I almost never played because I hated having a small hand size. Same with She-Hulk. I also didn't like She-Hulk because of the small hand size. But now I feel like I can play around it a lot better, and I enjoy both of these a lot more. And then Spider-Man is just super fun. Very thematic hero. Love Spider-Man. And then on the villain side, I think all of these villains are extremely interesting. Rhino is a great introduction to the game. He can be a challenge in solo, especially with the low main scheme, but in 2-player and up, he's not a pushover because he does hit quite hard, but he's not too much of a challenge either. Claw adds a lot of starting pressure compared to Rhino because he starts with that side scheme out, and then in Expert he starts with 2 side schemes out and a minion. So getting the minion and the side scheme out, even on standard, on turn 1, introduces starting pressure to the game. And if you get ahead of Claw, it's pretty manageable, but he is a great villain to play after you get used to playing Rhino. And then Ultron, still to this day, I think is one of the most interesting designed heroes in the entire game. I love his drone mechanic, and he really feels like a final boss. There's ways to take him out with the core box, like cards that counter him and a specific aspect, which I don't want to spoil in this video, that counters him. And he's a fantastic conclusion to the box. There's so much value that you can get out of just playing these 5 heroes against these 3 villains that I didn't get before I moved on. And if I was to redo this, I wish I would have stayed longer on this box. And this is partially why I've been going back to the core box, is because I am enjoying playing these heroes so much that I just want to keep playing it over and over again. Then moving on to the second purchase. I talked about the Web Warrior track and the Mutant track and the MCU track in my other guide, which you can go check out if you haven't. But yeah, I would personally do the Web Warrior track. So I would just pick up Sinister Motives, the Green Goblin Scenario Pack, Spider-Ham, and SPDR. And then you have like a full Spider-Man universe to take on. It's the smallest purchase that you can do to have a complete archetype, which I think is extremely valuable. And just with this purchase, you have so many options available to you because you have all these heroes. You have Peter Parker, Miles, Gwen, Spider-Ham, and SPDR, all fantastic heroes with a lot of depth and great aspect cards to go along with them. And you have this entire host of Spider-Man villains to take on. You have mutagen formula with the Green Goblin, where you're flying around the city dealing with him. The Norman Osborn scenario, Risky Business, where you have to deal with Norman as a businessman trying to take over Stark Industries. Really interesting. And then the villains in Sinister Motives are some of my favorite villains in the entire game. I love Mysterio, especially in expert campaign mode. Sandman, I think, is a villain that kind of gets overlooked, but he's extremely cool. Venom just feels like you're in Spider-Man 3, the Tobey Maguire ones hitting the bell tower. I like that. Sinister Six, super thematic. You get to fight 6 of them all at the same time. It's incredibly fun. And then Venom Goblin is a terrifying final boss, combining all the scary parts about Green Goblin and Venom. You could spend so much time just crafting scenarios out of these, learning all of these heroes, and then fighting all of these villains with different modular set combinations, different difficulties. These spider villains in particular, going from standard to expert, is a massive shift that changes how they feel in a way that is really fun to me. And I would want to fully explore all these Spider-Man villains and all of these spider heroes, which after I'm done with my little core box escapade, I'm going to do that on stream because I am going to follow this buyer's guide for myself because it's what I wish I would done. So why wouldn't I just do what I wish I had done now? And then after that, I would want to start diving into the world of modulars. The Hood scenario pack in particular has a bunch of modulars that supplement the spider theme. So it's a bunch of street level modulars, and also you get Shocker and some more Masters of Evil stuff, and you can craft a bunch of different fun scenarios out of these modulars. If you go to my During Live website, there's 2 scenarios, one called Sinister Rhinoceros and the other Criminal Kingdom, that I made out of these modulars in the core box. And also the Hood is a fantastic villain on his own, giving you a lot of replayability if you want to mess with the modulars, and I personally wish that I had messed with the modulars more because I'm just sort of coming around to that, and I think it's definitely worth using them more. And then moving on from that, I want to just give some packs. So the Kang scenario pack is still one of my favorite scenarios in the game for multiplayer. Probably my favorite one for multiplayer, especially in person, where you get to make your different play areas and you get to all fight a different Kang. I love that stage 2 of Kang. And then Star-Lord and Deadpool, some of my favorite heroes, and I would want to jump into these heroes before I necessarily go down the full mutant or guardian track. And also, I think these heroes hold up well on their own. Deadpool comes with an entire new aspect that can give deck building options. And then Star-Lord makes every hero a guardian, or every ally a guardian, so he's pretty standalone. He does really well just with any leadership strategy, and is still to this day one of my favorite heroes in the entire game to play. Moving on from that, I would want to go down the mutant track next. I would just pick up Mutant Genesis and then Jubilee, Wolverine, and Nightcrawler, because these three mutants are fantastic. Jubilee and Nightcrawler are 2 of my favorite heroes in the game. Wolverine's a really solid hero that I enjoy. With that in combination with Colossus, Shadowcat, and then the cards you get out of Mutant Genesis, you'd be able to have a lot of fun with this campaign. In my other guide, I recommended getting Next Evolution if you went down the mutant track first, but since I would have done the spider track first here, the difficulty from Mutant Genesis I think I would be able to handle after that campaign and with my expanded card pool. So if you go straight to mutants after the core box, I still would recommend getting Next Evolution first because the standard experience is more friendly. But for me, after getting Sinister Motives and playing that a bunch, I would want to get Mutant Genesis and just go down the timeline. And then also, after I go through the campaign, I'd want to get the Mojo scenario pack because Mojo comes with a mini campaign, which is super cool, and then 3 scenarios that are all really cool. I really, really like Magog. Magog is a super fun villain that I pull out a lot because it's just an arena brawl and it's not so long and it changes what's going on, and I love that. Then I'd want to get some packs. So I recommended packs and pairs in my other video, which I would still do for myself. I'd start with Rogue and Gambit because they're just great heroes and the thematics of it are fun, and I would just like that. Rogue is a super cool hero along with Gambit. I think I like Rogue a bit more. Rogue is like one of my favorite X-Men. And then I would want to get Cyclops and Storm, and the reason I'm pairing these together is because if you don't get both of them, the leadership strategy for X-Men feels a little bit lackluster, but if you get them at the same time, you'll be able to have extremely powerful leadership decks using them. And then I'd go into Psionic. Phoenix is also one of my favorite heroes, along with Psylocke. I love both of those heroes. And then getting them together, I wouldn't be missing out on so many Psionic cards that Phoenix needs and Psylocke need to feel like you can really reach their full potential. And also, they would be a great last purchase because when you go into the next one that I'm going to talk about, which is Next Evolution, you get Cable, and then you can kind of finish that Psionic track all at once. And then after I get Next Evolution, I'd want to move into Age of Apocalypse. The X-Force heroes, for some reason, aren't my favorite, so I would just want to continue down the campaign track because I really like the story it tells and all the villains that it gives. Because I generally value villains more than I value heroes because I feel like that changes the game more, in my opinion at least. So I'd go from Next Evolution into Age of Apocalypse, and then after that, just finish off the mutants that I would like. So like Magneto hasn't come out yet, but I'd want to grab Magneto because it's Magneto, and I'd want to finish the X-Men off. And then after that, I would go backwards. This is kind of what I did in the route I actually bought things. So I went from the core box to Mad Titan's Shadow to Mutants and then back to Rise of Red Skull. And I would want to redo that. I'd want to get Rise of Red Skull before getting the Mad Titan's Shadow because I feel like the deck building will go smoother. And it kind of follows the MCU track that I mentioned in my buyer's guide. And the Red Skull box is really good. The villains in it are super fun, and I really, really like Hawkeye. Spider-Woman is a super strong and interesting hero. And I think it would be better to go in order for this part. So then I'd go back and I'd get Galaxy's Most Wanted and Mad Titan's Shadow. And Galaxy's Most Wanted is super difficult, but after getting all the mutants and the Web Warriors and Rise of Red Skull, I think I'd be ready to handle the difficulty from the Guardians campaign. And then my last one that I'd get here would be the Mad Titan's Shadow, which I actually got first when I first bought things because it was around the time that like the Infinity Gauntlet stuff was coming out and I just wanted to fight Thanos. But hindsight, it wasn't the best choice. But I'd still like all of these campaigns. I just want to go in order here. Then I'd start filling out my Avengers packs. So I'd want to get Ant-Man and Wasp because I like both of these heroes. And then also it opens up the like Quantum Mania route where you can play Ant-Man and Wasps together with Kang, which I think is super fun. And then Ant-Man comes with a lot of aspect cards I really like. Wasp comes with a lot of aspect cards I really like. So getting them together would be cool. And then I'd pick up Hulk because I like Hulk. He's fun. I don't play him the most, but I do think he's worth purchasing. He also comes with a bunch of aspect cards I really like. And then just having a Hulk around is super nice. War Machine was a hero that I got really late, but I really enjoyed. I enjoyed playing War Machine, and then he comes with a bunch of leadership cards that I really like. Like the Captain Marvel ally, I think he came with Black Panther ally, which was integral to my Star-Lord deck that I built actually. So I'd want to pick him up, and then Vision, because I love Vision. He's super powerful. I don't hear people talking about it much other than Boom Guy. And if you don't know who Boom Guy is, go check out his podcast. Great podcast. Also, he loves Vision, and I also love Vision. Oh, and now that I mentioned Boom Guy, I should probably mention Joshi of Smeg, the resident Hulk main of the YouTube community. Check out his channel too for some Hulk content. And then I'd want to fill out my Guardians packs. So I'd want to get Gamora and Drax because I like those two a lot, and I don't really feel the need to get Nebula as much because I don't really ever play Nebula, but I do like Gamora and Drax. And then I can finish off the Guardians group of like Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, Rocket, and Groot. So I'd want to have that team available. And then I'd go into some Mad Titan's Shadow packs that I'd get concurrently with Mad Titan's Shadow, which I'd want to pick up Scarlet Witch and Thor, because Scarlet Witch goes well with Adam Warlock, so getting that at the same time that I get the Mad Titan's Shadow pack makes sense to me. And then Thor is just super fun. And then after that, I'd have all the campaign expansions. I'd just go back and I'd fill out all the like odds and ends that I didn't actually get to on the first round through. It's like Champions is a little mini archetype that is fun. So I'd want to pick up things like that and then just fill out my collection with whatever I want gradually. And that concludes the video. This is what I wish I had done. And then if you're watching this, hopefully it can inform you of what you want to do. The main takeaways from me really is I wish I had gone slower, explored the core box more, started using the modulars more, and then got sinister motives first, and then gone into mutants, because that's just sounds the most fun to me. Also, I think it'd be a really smooth track to go down. And if you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate it. Make sure to like and subscribe, and join the Discord if you want, because I have a lot of people in the Discord now, actually, and there's some fun conversations in there. So if you like my polls or discussing things on YouTube comments with me, join the Discord. It'll be a little easier to just have conversations about the game in there than it is like on the YouTube comments. And check out my website that I published. You have access to like my custom hero I made, Silver Surfer, and this villain, the homebrew villains I made with that Rhino and Claw one. There's more on the way as well. And then if you're interested, all of the like coding I did to go into some of the videos where you see me like posting plots and like efficiency calculations and true cost calculations and stuff like that. You can see how I actually did that if you want to. And that's all I have for today. So I'll see you next time. Stay zesty. Peace.